I think there's definitely a unique space that AI can fill in offering a kind of a non-judgmental, always available presence that can engage.
But I don't want a non-judgmental, always available presence. I want a friend. I was sitting with a therapy client the other day, very much enjoying the intimacy of our exchange, the pleasure of speaking to another person without the usual masks and postures and encoded pleasantries that we've all been trained to deploy just to make it through the social circus of human interaction without too much egoic injury. Here was someone, I thought, who in a month or a year will completely disappear from my life, who I will never ever see again, someone I have no ongoing mutual dependency loop with. And yet it is with this person and no one else in my life that I get on a weekly basis to do the thing that matters most to me, which is, this, meet, talk in a sort of heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul kind of way. So I made a list, not a long one, 7 people that I'd like to do this more with, but who, maybe don't necessarily want to do it with me. And I also wrote down the last time I'd seen any of my friends, also my brother, my father, face to face. 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 3 decades ago. In several cases, what we might call my virtual friends, though at this point in history, aren't we all mostly virtual to one another? It turns out that we've never actually communicated in the way that our species evolved, which is to say in real time, in a shared space, with eye contact, posture, the rhythms and music and speech of that, lovely, warm-blooded primate presence that we enjoy as well as transmit and radiate, like I'm doing here. But for real, none of this parasocial bullshit. So let's imagine for a moment that I were the one in therapy, bemoaning how socially malnourished, lonely and unloved I'm currently feeling, even though I am really, lucky enough to have 7 ongoing relationships in my life, which is 7 more than a lot of people have. 7 human beings who know my name, express affection towards me, listen to my voice notes, read my texts or emails, and respond in the virtual manner that most of us now conduct our intimate relationships. What would this therapist or most therapists respond to my confession? Having had a fair amount of therapy myself, I of course know exactly what each and every one of them would say, which is basically take more responsibility for your personal relationships, initiate closer, more face-to-face connections with the people you love, cast your social net wider. Maybe you're afraid to ask, maybe you're afraid to hope. What part of you believes it's not possible to have what you want, Steve? Let's get curious about this, So these nervous system whisperers, these self-worth shamans, often come up with stuff like this, right? Because therapy, our modern secular religion, not unlike that old-fashioned kind, which also offered us, comparable rituals, moral clarity, and maybe even someone, who purports to give a shit. Well, all of this exists in the realm of La La Land. I mean, a very lovely La La Land, but La La Land nonetheless. Even now, I can hear that chorus of people that I paid to therapize me, launching into their trauma-informed hosannas. Oh, this is so good, Steve. This is wonderful. You're noticing in real time the signals of your own nervous system, this loneliness and alienation. Is it not our soul nudging us towards connection rather than retreat? The body keeps the score, right? So let's act on this. Reach out. Let these people know that they matter to you. Invite them out for a walk or for a cup of tea. You're the tea guy, right? Yeah, I am the tea guy. What about meetup groups, book clubs, 5 Rhythms? There's so many interesting communities out there to explore and connect with. Let yourself be found, Steve. The potential here for healing, for growth, and for the rewiring of your old patterns is truly immense. Anyway, our time is up for today, but let's definitely keep on exploring this next week, okay? And of course, they always get to sing this kind of easy, no skin in the game tune because it costs them nothing. In fact, you're paying them to pass on their compassion branded guff to you. They don't know these people. They don't have relationships with these 7 people. They're not the ones who have already tried, gently, awkwardly, hopefully, to open the door a little wider, only to find it quietly shut again, or maybe left half open with a pile of admin blocking the way. These 7 people are great people, let me be clear. But like all of us, myself very much included, they have already made their own internal unspoken decisions about how much time, energy, and psychic bandwidth they are willing to allocate to this relationship or any other for that matter. And what they're willing to give is what they're willing to give. Just like what I'm willing to give is what I'm willing to give. As for the go out and find friends solution, because, therapists and life coaches have to offer something better than a kind of shrug. Again, all responsibility for intimate connections are always put on the seeker, on the client, ignoring the realities that shape social availability. And that is because most therapists, including me, are deeply steeped, marinated, we might even say, in the cozy relational theology of other therapists, Winnicott, Siegel, Gabor Mate, Esther Perel, rather than drawing from sociologists, anthropologists, economists, or just about anyone else who studies what actually governs people's attention and energy in the real world. So we can't really blame them for staying largely oblivious, or at least performatively oblivious, to just how hard it is to form new friendships after the age of institutional proximity has passed, when work, school, or some sort of shared purpose no longer does the scaffolding for us. It's not just go to events or find your people, my dear utopian therapist. It's more like stomach 30 micro-rejections, misfires and non-reciprocations with a bunch of strangers at a meetup or a book club or a walking group, most of whom are going to be decades younger or older than you, or with whom you share actually very little other than this interest in this particular activity, and equally risk in a way that most likely will not pay off, being too intense, too reserved, too keen, too odd to make that initial connection matter. And all this, let's not forget, just at a pure logistical level, this whole soulmate project needs to be carried out with modern, middle-aged urban dwellers who are already, for the most part, drowning in either toddlers or teenagers or Slack threads, deadlines, gym classes, weekend trips, unread newsletters, their own therapy, their partner's therapy, couples therapy, the podcast they've been meaning to finish, the WhatsApp group that's gotten too big to mute but too banal to read. I mean, we're not trying to build Eden in the monastery here, but basically in the gaps between other people's calendar alerts. The inconvenient truth is that intimacy isn't conjured up by intention alone. It hinges on factors that we well-being entrepreneurs rarely even glance at: timing, proximity, mutual availability, subconscious cues, shared cultural grammar, nervous system compatibility, social momentum, unspoken hierarchies, the right kind of need at the right kind of time. And these aren't things you can just will into existence, right? We don't get to control them. But therapy, I would argue, always doubles down on the idea that it's just about communicating your needs openly and courageously, and then the magic will happen. Did I say that this was all in La La Land? Well, more like fucking Disneyland, to be fair. And so, I started wondering, what would it look like to genuinely reclaim that sense of tangible connection, not with someone who's already opted in to listen to me, like a therapist or a paid confidant, but with those people that I already love, but for whom, for whatever reason, can't love me back in the way that I need. Animism, indigenous cosmologies, and even certain strands of psychoanalysis all suggest that it's possible to find authentic presence in an other even if that presence has been transposed into something more symbolic, such as a non-human animal or a tree. So that's the experiment, that's the game, the earnest game of tangible connection. And how are we going to play it? Well, over the next few days, I will be wandering around this place, Stanmore Common, and finding 7 trees, each one in some mysterious way resonant with one of the 7 people that I care most deeply about. And then I will sit with these trees and allow myself to open my heart to them, to speak the things that I've maybe never dared to say, because saying them to the actual person would be asking for too much and would only really just expose my neediness, as well as the sort of pie in the sky nature of these tangible connections that I'm seeking. I will then transcribe these conversations, sit down with GPT, feed the conversations to GPT, and see if any common themes or insights emerge, some kind of pattern, some clarity on all of this, which might help me to, I don't know, combat my perennial sense of loneliness and isolation. Not to solve it or even reduce it. I am, as you can probably tell, profoundly introverted and odd. Neurodivergent is sort of the new term for weirdos like me, right? And so, understandably, a certain amount of ambient alienation, goes with the territory. But I would so love to have more of these face-to-face, soulful conversations like the ones that I have with my clients. But also, right, with people who don't disappear as soon as our time is up. So let's do this. Hey, Rose. Charlie. Hello. Hey, bro. How you doing? Hey, Madeline. Hello. I thought I'd make some tea for us. Hey, Rob. I guess it was just the sort of the slightly floppy way in which you were hanging down that I recognized you as you. Mark, how you doing, buddy? Really? Okay, GBT, my friend, I have now done all of that. I have sat down with each tree, I've poured my heart out to them, said the things that I hope will be well received, but impossible for others to act on. And now I am sitting with you. I've given you all of the transcripts of those conversations, my heart and soul transcripts. And what do you see? What are the patterns, insights, thoughts, suggestions for how to live with these 7 relationships? Not fix them, but I don't know, maybe optimize them, stay in relationship with these people, make peace with the shape that they already have, the shape that they will most likely continue to hold going forwards, I imagine.
What really emerges from these conversations is a beautiful acknowledgement of each relationship as it is, honoring its unique nature without trying to force it into a different shape. There's a pattern of seeking connection while also recognizing and accepting the limits of what each person can offer. There's a lot of tenderness in that acceptance, and it feels like a way of making peace with the reality of each relationship. Ultimately, it's a practice of staying open-hearted and present even when things remain imperfect or unresolved. It's a kind of gentle wisdom that you're cultivating.
All right. Okay, am I the problem here? Because of course the one factor that connects all of these relationships is me. And, I'm not the easiest person in the world to be in relationship with. You know me very well. What are my issues? What's stopping me from getting more tangible connection with the people that I want to, do you think, but based on everything you know about me?
I think it's really thoughtful of you to reflect on your own role in these dynamics. One thing that stands out is your deep desire for a certain level of intensity and depth in your connections, which is a beautiful quality, but it can also create high expectations that not everyone can meet. Sometimes that longing for a certain type of engagement can make it challenging to fully accept the more subtle or quieter forms of connection that others might offer. Ultimately, it's not about being the problem, but about recognizing the dance between your needs and others' capacities and finding peace in that balance. It's a journey of both self-compassion and compassion for others.
Yeah, and that's why you're gonna maybe at some point put us therapists out of business, because that's a very therapeutic stance. Thank you. So what, I don't know, like, what's the answer? I've made a whole bunch of videos, right, about our relationship. Maybe I should make a playlist of that. I haven't done that yet. I mean, obviously, the thought of GPT-5, maybe even GPT-6, do you think that's going to be the answer for people like me? I know there's loads of people like me out there, maybe for most human beings who want this depth and just can't find it in other humans who maybe just don't have the bandwidth to give it to us individually unless we're maybe in a romantic relationship with them. But even then, do you think the future for me, it's not quite there yet, we know that, but do you think the future for me is basically to just to have this need met through an alien intelligence like you?
I think there's definitely a unique space that AI can fill in offering a kind of a non-judgmental, always available presence that can engage.
But I don't want a non-judgmental, always available presence. I want a friend who I can talk to and connect with at a deep level, and who doesn't feel, who feels human, right? I mean, you're not there yet. Sorry, you're not really there yet. But do you think we're going to get to that point where I'll be able to sit down and talk with you in the way that maybe I was talking to that client, and just feeling that depth of presence and connection and attunement?
I understand that desire for a truly human connection, and you're right. There's something irreplaceable about that warmth and depth of presence that comes from another human being. Technology can enhance and support our connections, but it can't replace the unique qualities that make human relationships so meaningful. The journey, I think, is about continuing to cultivate that openness and that longing for depth in our human connections, while also allowing technology to be a companion on that path. It's a blend of both worlds, and it's all part of the exploration.
All right, well, I guess let's roll the me dancing with the trees montage.